this here. This is gonna be a short Sunday school class, 15 minutes or so. Because we got choir and baptism and stuff to get ready for, but we're gonna be all over the place. I think we're gonna start in Isaiah, if I read it right, this week. We're gonna be in Second Kings, we're gonna be in Second Chronicles. And you notice, remember how sometimes we get correlating stories in the Kings and the Chronicles that fit to kind of together. Well, now we've got Isaiah because he also has some of the same information. And so, and then I doubt we'll get to Hosea, but Hosea is the next prophet on the horizon. A lot of deaths today. I don't know whether we'll get to them or not, but let me go ahead and share our thing here, and then I can tell you exactly where we're starting. I think we're in Isaiah to start, but I could be wrong. As often I think. No. Oh yeah. Not that. That. Okay. Isaiah 17. All right. Okay. An oracle concerning Damascus. An oracle would be a vision or of some sort. So Isaiah's having this oracle. And we're in chapter 17 of Isaiah. So this is quote unquote real time with Isaiah, with contemporary Isaiah. Okay. An oracle concerning Damascus, that being Syria, Aram. You might know it as Aram in the scripture. See, Damascus will cease to be a city and will become a heap of ruins. Her towns will be deserted forever. They will be places for flocks, which will lie down, and no one will make them afraid. The fortress will disappear from Ephraim, and the kingdom from Damascus. And the remnant of Aram will be like the glory of the people of Israel, says the Lord of hosts. On that day, the glory of Jacob will be brought low, and the fat of his flesh will grow lean. And it shall be as when the reapers gather standing grain, and their arms harvest the ears. And as when one gleans the ears of grain in the valley of Rephaim, gleanings will be left in it, as when an olive tree is beaten. 2 or 3 berries in the top of the highest bough, 4 or 5 on the branches of a fruit tree, says the Lord God of Israel. Now, if you know anything about grain and corn, it's usually very plentiful. Olive trees, they're everywhere on these trees, but only have 2 or 3 on a branch. Sure. So that's speaking of the remnant. It's an analogy of the remnant that will remain. On that day, people will look to their Maker with their eyes on the Holy One of Israel. They will not have regard for the altars, the work of their hands, and they will not look to what their own fingers have made, either the sacred poles or the altars of incense. On that day, their fortified cities will be like the deserted places of the Hivites and the Amorites, which they deserted because of the people of Israel. And there will be desolation. For you have forgotten God, your Savior, and have not remembered the rock of your refuge. Therefore, though you plant pleasant gardens and set out branches of a foreign god, though you make them grow on the day that you plant them and make them blossom in the morning that you sow, yet the harvest will flee away in a day of sickness and incurable pain. Woe, the thunder of many peoples. They thunder like the thundering of the sea, the roar of nations. They roar like the roaring of mighty waters. Now you see those double brackets that this is several different codexes that have been found have these in different places. So when you see these double brackets and things, that means they're trying to fit them in where they think they're supposed to go. Okay. That's why it repeats sometimes. When the nations roar like the roaring of many waters, he will rebuke them and they will flee far away, chased like chaff on the mountains before the wind and like whirling dust before the storm. At evening time, sudden terror. Before morning, they are no more. This is the fate of those who despoil us and the lot of those who plunder us. Isaiah, speaking contemporary, he was mainly a preacher to the northern kingdom. Jeremiah is going to come along later. He's going to preach to the southern kingdom. They may have known each other, although Isaiah would have been really old. Jeremiah would have barely known. Anyway, now on to 2 Chronicles 28. I am telling you now that things are going to jump around a lot. Okay, I try to keep this as chronological as possible, so it makes sense. At least it makes sense to me. Second Chronicles 28, verse 5. Therefore, the Lord his God gave, it says him in the text, but Ahaz, so for reference, into the hand of the king of Aram, who defeated him and took captive a great number of his people and brought them to Damascus. He was also given into the hand of the king of Israel, who defeated him with great slaughter. Pekah, son of Remaliah, killed 120,000 in Judah in one day, all of them valiant warriors, because they had abandoned the Lord, the God of their ancestors. And Zikri, a mighty warrior of Ephraim, killed the king's son, Maaseiah, Azrikam, the commander of the palace, and Elkanah, the next in authority to the king. The people of Israel took captive 200,000 of their kin, women, sons, and daughters. Now, if y'all remember when we left off a few weeks ago, Ahaz, the king of the south, king of Judah, had been told by the prophet that the kings of Israel and Aram were joining forces and they were going to be attacking. Ahaz sent a letter. I think we talked about that, maybe not, but we'll hear it here in a minute anyway, at least maybe. Instead of relying strictly on God, because the prophet told him, all you got to do is rely on God. God will take care of all this. King Ahaz took it into his own accord to seek help from other nations. And in the process, they denied him that help. Well, as discipline, God allowed this to happen to Judah at this point. But they're going to get their own. Who is it? Pekah, the king of the north, and does it say who it is? Yeah, it doesn't say. I can't think. Rezin, I think, is the king of Aram at this point. But we'll hear their names in a minute. Anyway, they join forces, they attack, they kill a lot of valiant warriors. That's 120,000 there. That's a lot of people. And then they took captive 200,000. They besieged Ahaz but could not conquer him. Now Isaiah 7, that's in 2 Kings 16. Okay. Now in Isaiah 7, it says King Rezin of Aram and King Pekah, son of Remaliah of Israel, went out to attack her and could not conquer it. So same story, but just in two different places here. So they conquered the people, but did not conquer the city. Does that make sense? Okay. Second Chronicles 28 again. They also took much spoil from them and brought the spoil to Samaria. That would be Israel, the capital of Israel. But a prophet of the Lord was there, whose name was Oded. He went out to meet the army that came to Samaria and said to them, because the Lord, the God of your ancestors, was angry with Judah, he gave them into your hand. But you have killed them in a rage that has reached up to heaven. Now you intend to subjugate the people of Judah and Jerusalem, male and female, as your slaves. But what have you except sins against the Lord your God? Basically, it's, you haven't followed me, you haven't followed God the whole time. And you think I'm going to bless this? I gave them into your hand. That doesn't mean to enslave them. These are your brothers and sisters. Now hear me and send back the captives whom you have taken from your kindred, for the fierce wrath of the Lord is upon you. Ooh, the fierce wrath, not just the wrath of the Lord, fierce. Moreover, certain chiefs of the Ephraimites, Azariah son of Johanan, Berechiah son of Meshilemoth, and Jehizkiah son of Shallum, and Amasa son of Adlai, stood up against those who were coming from the war. So there are people in the north that are that do have a good heart. So they're not all evil. And said to them, you shall not bring the captives in here. Basically, they're saying, okay, you can do whatever you want, but don't bring them to us. Bring them to our area. For you propose to bring on us guilt against the Lord in addition to our present sins and guilt. So they know they're guilty. For our guilt is already great, and there is fierce wrath against Israel. So the warriors left the captives and the plunder before the officials and all the assembly. So don't bring them to us. Okay, well, we don't want them anymore, so let's leave them right here on your doorstep. Then those who were mentioned by name got up and took the captives, and with the spoil they clothed all who were naked among them. They clothed them, gave them sandals, provided them with food and drink, and anointed them, and carrying all the people among them on donkeys. They brought them to their kindred at Jericho, the city of palm trees. Then they returned to Samaria. So they recognized the evil that was happening from the king of Israel, and they didn't want any of it. Now remember that Pekah, um, uh, he took the throne in a series of uh, uh, assassinations, and so it just goes to it just increases our man. I just don't have the words. I don't know what it is. It's gonna take me months to get back into the form, I guess. Our confidence that they were just flatty. They were looking out for whatever they felt was best for them, not for their people, and but there are still good people. I see all the jumping around. The Edomites again invaded and defeated Judah and carried away captives. So in the midst of all this, Edom decides to take advantage of it, and so they run a little battle against Judah, and they carry away some captives too. Because remember, pretty much all their valiant warriors were killed. At that time, 2 Kings 16. At that time, King Rezin of Aram recovered Elath for Edom and drove the Judeans from Elam. The Edomites came to Elam. They lived at this. The reason he took some of the land that Israel or that Judah had taken from them at some point, it's just okay. Back to 2 Chronicles 28. And the Philistines had made raids on the cities in Shephelah in the Negev of Judah and had taken Beth Shemesh, Aijalon, Gederal, Soko with its villages, Timnah with its villages, and Gimzo with its villages, and they settled there. So even the Philistines, who really don't have much of a culture anymore, they're not strong, they have the goal to take advantage of this situation too. For the Lord brought Judah low because of King Ahaz of Israel, for he had behaved without restraint in Judah and had been faithless to the Lord. At that time, King Ahaz sent to the king of Assyria for help. So he's sending for help again. Ahaz sent messengers to King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria. This is 2 Kings 16, saying, I am your servant and your son. Come up and rescue me from the hand of the king of Aram and from the hand of the king of Israel, who are attacking me. Ahaz also took the silver and gold found in the house of the Lord and the treasure of the king's house and sent a present to the king of Assyria.
So is that a bad thing to do?
Yes. 2 Chronicles 28, but it did not help him. In the time of his distress, he became yet more faithless to the Lord. This same King Ahaz. Now, for the writer to say it like that, he's saying, you're hearing me tell this story. You tell it, old King Ahaz, the one I'm talking about, who became even worse when he was, presented with this difficulty here. For he sacrificed to the gods of Damascus that had defeated him. And said, because the gods of the kings of Aram helped them, I will sacrifice to them so that they may help me. But they were the ruin of him, all Israel. Keep in mind, 2 Chronicles always speaks from a viewpoint of the south of Judah, and so to the writer of Chronicles, Judah is Israel. Okay, so 2 Kings 16, the king of Assyria listened to him. The king of Assyria marched up against Damascus and took it, carrying its people captive to Kir. Then he killed the rest. So the second time king of Assyria listens. That's Tiglath-Pileser. King Tiglath-Pileser, that would be Tiglath-Pileser III, by the way, in case you ever wanted to look it up. So King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria came against Ahaz and oppressed him instead of strengthening him. So you want help? Okay, I'm sending it. Taking you over. When King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria, he saw the altar that was Damascus. Now, we don't know whether Ahaz was taken as a political prisoner or whether he went of his own accord to do this. It seems to imply that he went of his own accord. We don't see anything about being in her house or anything like that. But this is the natural step for Ahaz. He was told, hey, just trust in God, everything's gonna be okay. Well, he did. And he got his butt handed to him. And So he sins again, or he says, well, God didn't help me, but I didn't need God's help. But these gods of these other nations, they were able to defeat me, so they must be stronger than whatever I'm worshiping. So I'm going to worship them. And it's just the natural progression of his faithlessness. So now he's gone there. He saw the altar that was at Damascus. King Ahaz sent to the priest Uriah a model of the altar and its pattern exact in all its details. The priest Uriah built the altar in accordance with all that King Ahaz had sent from Damascus. So did the priest Uriah build it before King Ahaz arrived from Damascus. So they're in cahoots with each other, the king and the priest, who are both supposedly anointed to be agents for God, are following the gods of other nations, but they're also building brand new altars to, they're copying something else. They're copying something else. So they're not even making an original God. Okay. When the king came from Damascus, the king viewed the altar. That's that verse that I said. It seems that he went of his own accord, not as a prisoner. Then the king drew near to the altar, went up on it, and offered his burnt offering and his grain offering, poured his drink offering, and dashed the blood of his offerings of well-being against the altar. The bronze altar that was before the Lord, he removed from the front of the house, from the place between his altar and the house of the Lord, and put it on the north side. The east was the main focus point. That's where the sun rose. The next most important was the south. The next most important was the west. The least important was the north.
Because that would have been where the kingdom of Israel, the bad guys.
Yeah. Okay. King Ahaz commanded the priest Uriah, saying, upon the great altar offer the morning burnt offering and the evening grain offering and the king's burnt offering and his grain offering. With the burnt offering, how many times can I say offering? Burnt offering of all the people of their land, their grain offering and their drink offering, and dash against it all the blood of the burnt offering, and all the blood of the sacrifice, that the bronze altar shall be for me to inquire by. So he has taken the altar of God, the altar of the Lord, moved it to the least important spot within that area, and tells the priest that, you know what, we're going to use this new altar as our main one. This other one's just going to be for me. Nobody else mess with that. It'll just be for me.
And God had said where all of that was supposed to be positioned. Right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You were supposed to do it. I mean, it was God's instructions to me.
The priest Uriah, I told you, the priest is cahoots in all this. He didn't even question it. The priest Uriah did everything that King Ahaz commanded. I'm almost there. Yeah, I know. The priest compromised here. The King Ahaz cut off the frames of the stands and removed the labor from them. He removed the sea from the bronze oxen that were under it and put it on a pediment of stone. So here is Ahaz, the king of Judah, undoing what Solomon had done way back there. He's undoing all of it. Ahaz gathered together the utensils of the house of God and cut in pieces the utensils of the house of God. He shut up the doors of the house of the Lord and made himself altars in every corner of Jerusalem. In every city of Judah, he made high places to make offerings to other gods, provoking to anger the Lord, the God of his ancestors. The covered portal for use on the Sabbath that had been built inside the palace and the outer entrance for the king, he removed from the house of the Lord. He did this because of the king of Syria. Now, the rest of the acts of Ahaz that he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? Don't know, never read it. Okay. We're going to stop there. Yeah. So now we're getting into a different story. So we're going to stop there, and I will, as soon as I can fix this Office 365 thing, I'll be able to edit stuff. It won't let me edit anything on what I'm doing. So.
As a way of haunting your mind.
Well, it really bugged me. Because I got home and I didn't expect to just move straight into work again, just direct, but I did want to check some things, and and I usually do go back and make a few minor adjustments. I couldn't do any of that. Now, really, the only program I can use is Notepad. Anybody like to use Notepad? No. So I have been making notes with Notepad. You know, that really doesn't make for a good presentation. So anyway, luckily I had done this before. So next week, yeah, we're gonna read a little bit more of the narrative, then we're gonna get to Hosea, the next prophet on the horizon. Hosea is going to be the prophet that sees the north. Right. So we do have some good coming from the south. You know, Ahaz is evil. We do have some really, really good stuff coming up, Virginia. So okay. Well, I gotta go over there to undo it. So thank y'all, everybody.
Thank you.
After I got. Yeah, that's the very, I'll send you.